Jimmy Z, welcome to Real Talk with Star Scorpio. How you doing today?
I'm good, Pete. Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah. Yo, Jimmy, I know we've been talking about this for a while, on Instagram, um, when you're gonna come on the show. And for those of you listening or watching, this is my good friend Jimmy. And anybody I grew up with in high school, I always call my brother too, man. And he's my brother, my Greek brother, right?
You got it.
Yeah, you're in law enforcement. We're gonna discuss a lot of things today. But first, I want to get this out the way. I grew up with a friend called Jimmy Zabarellis, and you're Zaphiropoulos, right?
I'm Zaphiropoulos.
Zaphiropoulos.
Yeah.
Yes. So I didn't when I call you Jimmy Z because I think Jimmy Zabarellis goes by Jimmy Z on Facebook.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
if anyone from the old school is listening, you know what I mean? I don't want him to get confused, and Jimmy Z knows it's not him. But yeah. Okay. Let's get this timeline going, Jim. Um, well, one thing I also want to say, you were in law enforcement, and one time I seen you in the paper with your gun drawn, ETF, right?
No, so that I actually never worked ETF. I
Mhm.
worked in the majority of my career was done in investigative units,
Okay.
gangs, drugs. That particular one I think you're referring to,
Hmm.
actually, the Hadley homicide
Okay.
back in 2001. Yeah, 2000, 2001. And what that particular case was Ralph Hadley, distraught with his ex-wife.
Hmm.
They were going through a difficult breakup, like many people do.
Yeah.
Um, and he went and murdered her. And it was an awful scene. And then he killed himself, took his own life. And that particular shot that was in the paper, I was myself and actually my best friend,
Yeah.
well, one of my best friends, were the two first officers to respond to that call. So we were
Okay.
there and heard the second gunshot,
Mhm.
the one where he was killing himself.
Wow. So you know the article I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right?
you know
Because they
exactly.
captured you there.
Yeah.
So the reason I brought it up though is because I collect clippings since high school. I've been collecting paper clippings on everything. And I found everything from Paul Bernardo to Michael Jackson passing away to the Pope to Diana. And even I found Scotty Belasco, remember in high school, of a picture of him doing a layup when he was in Ryerson, I believe. And I sent it to him this morning. Then I found one of Hanno. I don't know if you remember Hanno when he was in a car accident. And I took a shot of that. But of course, the article I'm looking for, where Jimmy's in the paper, I couldn't find it. But that's what I was doing this morning. Okay, Jim, where were you born and raised, brother?
So born in Toronto, raised in Toronto, right? So born, and we jumped around a bit because, like much like your parents, my parents were immigrants. It was always money was always an issue, right? So where we ended up settling was Victoria Village.
Okay, yeah.
So Victoria Park in Lawrence area, and ended up kind of growing up there.
Mhm.
Ended up moving to Flemington later on.
Oh, you lived in Flemo.
Yeah, lived in Flemo
Mm.
for most of our high school time, to be honest. I think around grade 11 and on, I was living in Flemo, and now I'm out here in beautiful Whitby. And that's it.
Yes, yes. Wait, when you were in Flemington Park, was it bad at the time too?
Yeah, I mean, we all know the people that were around. It was the same people. It hadn't changed over. To be honest, man, I can't say nothing about Flemo because I lived there up till 10 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
I raised my daughter in Flemo. Troubles where you want to,
Of course. Of course.
you can find it if you want it. I've never had issues living in Flemo. It was after my first divorce, which was in 2004.
Hmm.
It was where I knew to gravitate to. It was home. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I bought a condo there and lived there. Like it's always kind of been, it's your neighborhood. You know what I mean? You know what's going on there.
Yeah. You know when you say that, it's kind of crazy because a lot of people, when they find out some areas that we live in, like I live in an area in Scarborough where just down the street, there's a lot of everything going on,
Yep.
shootings, this and that, but you would never know. And you know where to avoid, you know what time not to go out, and you know things to do. But a lot of areas like that in the city, as we know, and Flemo was one of those areas, Jane and Finch and all those areas. But okay,
Even VP.
yeah, yeah, true.
We had there was right across the street we had Parkwoods. We had there was all kinds. That was a melting pot of um, every kind of economic level.
That is, yeah,
You
yeah.
had everything there.
Yeah, there was an actual shooting at VP just, I don't even know, this year
Yeah,
sometime.
yeah. There's been a few things that's happened there. Like poor kid fell through the roof there, and just
Yeah,
there's a few
yeah,
things that's happened there. Stabbing or shooting. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Crazy, crazy
Yep.
times, man. Okay, now you went to Vic Park, right?
Yep.
Of course you did, man. I remember. But you know what? One thing I forget though is if we're the same age or a year younger than me.
I'm 74.
Yeah, I'm 73. Okay, so you were,
Probably older. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So how was your school experience? What would you say?
You know what? It's funny. VP was, and I don't want to get into a big race thing, but
Yeah.
VP was Greek or black.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, like, and luckily the Greeks and blacks got along,
oh
and we
yeah.
played sports together, and we all hung out, and everybody was cool. I I really liked my. I didn't care about school. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But like to this day,
Mhm.
my best friend on earth is Fonda.
I was gonna ask you about Fonda.
Me and
Wow.
Fonda have been friends since grade 4 or 5, like
Yeah.
that long. Gone through middle school, high school, everything to this day. Like
Hmm.
we were talking last night.
Wow.
Yeah, he baptized my first daughter. Like he's that friendship
Hmm.
that developed there, that has been in my worst times and in my best times, right
Yeah.
beside me. How could I ever say anything bad about my upbringing there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My life at VP. I loved it, man. I loved it.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Oh,
much for schoolwork, but I loved being there.
okay. Okay. So two things though now. So you touched on Fonda because I want to talk about working out. Because there's times I remember we were in the gym at the same time. But school. So what are you saying? What were your grades like? Did you
You know what? My grades were awful until
Mhm.
OAC.
Okay.
For some reason, I was able to like just kind of turn it on. I remember the day
Yeah.
we were playing at Ranchdale. Me and Fonda were playing Burby in grade
Yeah.
11 or 12.
Hmm.
If anybody doesn't know what Burby is, it's the box that's always painted on the schools and
Yeah.
one-on-one baseball, right? So we're playing Burby and we sit down and he's like, what the hell are you going to do with life?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. What are you going to do? He's like,
Yeah.
I know I've got to go to university. I go, well, yeah, me too.
Mhm.
Okay. And he was like, maybe I'll become a cop or a fireman or something like that, as he was thinking, right? But
Okay.
we were still 11, grade 11, grade 12. He was, putting in hours and hours and hours at his dad's restaurant by then.
Okay.
His kind of trajectory was already decided, whether he knew it or not at that moment. I
Okay.
had no idea. I just
Yeah.
knew I had to go to university. My
Hmm.
parents were very clear. You're going to university or you're working 40 hours and paying.
Wow. Yeah.
So I went to university, and luckily it was that decision that I had to go, that my parents put on me, that conversation
Yeah.
with, well, fuck, what are we going to do with life?
Hmm.
That it was like almost like, oh crap, I got to get some grades and get into university.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I ended up graduating university, like at high school, with like an 86 or an 87 average. Like I had an academic scholarship.
Holy cow. Jimmy, I didn't know this.
It wasn't a lot. It was like $1,000, but back then,
Yeah.
courses were like $300-400.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad, man. Like it was good.
Wow.
So no brainer. I went to York.
Okay. I was going to touch on that too.
Yeah.
A lot of people went to York that we know. But okay, so you know what happened to me? I didn't buckle down. I was always good in school, but I was more sports, me and the
Yeah.
volleyball and all that. But when it came to OACs, I only took English and gym. I dropped out of everything because it was too hard. Like I dropped out of chemistry with Steve Chigakos. I forgot algebra. I dropped them all.
All the time, man. I used to see him all the time at Joey's.
Yeah.
Joey's unconscionable.
Yeah. But you know what? When I smartened up, it was in college. So I got my two OACs, but I went to Seneca College, and that's where I something clicked in, and I was just killing it in college. But that's another story.
What did you
Oh,
take in college?
a business admin.
Good for you.
Yeah, me and this guy Alim Nathu, man. He went to Vic Park too. Okay, now you're talking about grades, so that's good. I know about that now. But now let's talk about the gym because I think it was in my last year. We had energetics and all that stuff. And then I started taking working out seriously. So Albert John, Albert was a
Oh,
beast, right?
Jack, Jack.
Yeah. So we all used to work out, but I swear there came a time when you and Fonda were really hitting that gym, man. So tell me about your transformation too, because you became a Hulk, man. You know what I mean?
So I remember it was probably, so remember we had Benavides.
Yes, yes.
So that guy was a monster.
He was big, yeah.
I've always had this fascination with wrestling,
Yep.
bodybuilding.
Hmm.
I love big men.
Yeah.
The power, I like it. Besides the fitness aspect, I like just the way it looks. And it is not a sexual thing or anything like that. It's just I just like being big. You walk into a room and you demand attention, regardless of what anybody says. It
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Back then, we both got into working out, and Spiro,
His brother, Fonda's brother, right?
already ripped. Those boys came out of the womb ripped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those guys eat McDonald's and Harvey's and just six packs and packs.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember him saying, we should wait till we're 18 so it doesn't stunt our growth.
Okay.
And one day I'm over at his house at lunchtime. It's like 16 or 17 years old, and I see he's got the old barbell set with the green York plates.
Yeah.
Spiro's there just pumping weights. And I'm like, yeah, no, man, let's start working out. And legit, we just started working out and started hitting it hard. We both got into it. We both really, really liked it. And he blew up. That guy's got genetics for days. For me, it took a little bit longer, but it happened when when I started to, like anything, right? You gotta crawl before you run. And at first, what are you doing every day? You're benching and doing curls every day.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You don't know any better. You don't realize that, oh man, my chest hurts. I probably shouldn't. You go do it again and again. And again.
Yeah, yeah.
And then every Friday night you're going out, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
some benching and some curling, right? You're
Yeah.
gonna go out. That's what you did, you know what I mean? And then it evolves, right? You learn more about it. Like I remember building a gym in my basement when I lived at my parents, and not having a clue, not having a clue what we were doing. You know what I mean? But it was it was the learning process, and it's always something that's been near and dear to me. I love working out. I love lifting weights. I love feeling strong. I feel like I'm walking today, legit, and I'm not because of weights.
Yeah.
The muscle that I was able to put on my body.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something I want to ask later on about
Yep.
yeah. But there's also a height difference too. I remember Fonda. There's a couple guys I knew, Che, remember Che, DJ Che, man. He grew late. Like he grew in grade 10 or something, man.
By the time he was done, right?
Pardon?
He got to we grew up, Che was always down here.
Yeah. And then he shot up. So Fonda was the same thing. When I came into VP, Fonda was shorter, but then he grew. But you are like 6. What are you?
6'1".
6'1", right?
Fonda's probably about 5'9".
Yeah, he's 5'9". Okay.
5'9".
Yeah.
I don't want to cut his legs out when he's not here to defend himself.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Now, high school's done. We talked about you went to York. Now, how was your experience at University in New York, and what'd you take?
So I took political science in York. I did so because I took political science for 2 reasons. One, my parents were always talking politics, and it kind of did sunk in, right? Like, it's like, you hear stuff all the time. It's going to sink in. You're going to have an interest there. Secondly, I started off in phys ed.
Okay.
And it's not good, man. It's hard.
Oh.
I was like, kudos to everybody that could take phys ed and go on to kinesiology or whatever. It wasn't for me, man. I was not academically inclined.
Yeah.
I was going to university to get my dad off my back.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
that was basically it. In
And how
terms of,
many? Yeah.
sorry?
So how many years? What then?
So it took me 4 years to get a 3-year degree.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
It happens.
Hmm.
In terms of my experience at York, I was in and out, in and out, and out. I didn't socialize there. I had
Oh
a
wow.
few friends there. My friends were all in Toronto, like proper, like Fonda and all, and weekends and during the week, like it legit was. I would go to university just to go to my class or my tutorial and then leave. I had
Yeah.
no real bond with that school.
Hmm.
So
And how old were you when you went? Because you know how it's different now, right? You were talking about OACs
yeah,
earlier, and we.
but I'm born in December, so I'm always younger anyways. I think I was like 18 still.
Okay.
18 or 19. But like I was 18, but in my 19th year kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like you guys would all turn 19, let's say by then, right?
Yeah.
But I
No, I'm
was,
late born too, bro. I'm November, man.
there you go. So you understand what I mean, right?
Yeah.
The Januaries were already 19.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's so, but I think I was 18 then.
So I asked that too because did you have your license by then too?
So little little story.
Okay.
And you may choose to cut this out or not, but I don't. I hope you keep it because I think it's pretty funny.
Okay.
You remember we had the green and then the clear laminated plastic, and you had it in your little thing.
Yeah.
My brother's 5 years older than me.
Yeah.
His brother's 3 years older than him.
Hmm.
He went to Victoria Terrace
Yeah.
with our brother's IDs,
Yeah.
got fake licenses in our names so we could get into clubs.
Come on,
We
man.
already had real licenses from 16, but just so we could get in. So they take a new picture, give you another pamphlet thing, everything. So we each had 2 sets of licenses, which I
Yeah.
know is totally illegal,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. And that's how we got into clubs back then, too. But yeah, I had
Oh,
my license from when I was 16. I got it right 365 days, bang, bang, bang. Got it and done.
yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I waited till 18. Oh, that's a crazy story, man. It's crazy.
We wanted to go, we wanted to be able to hang out with our brothers. We wanted
Yeah.
to be able to go out to the clubs and do these things, right? When
Hmm.
we were 17 years old, we were going to the clubs with 19, 20-year-olds, hanging out and going, holy crap. But
Yeah.
that's how we did it, right?
Yeah. Was it the downtown clubs at the time, or was it?
Yeah, it was all Richmond, Adelaide, and
Yeah.
then you go Mississauga to like the world.
Yeah. Yeah. The world. I remember that.
Once in a while, you hit a palazzo or a paparazzi up
Yeah.
in
Oh, yo, you know what? I'm having a bad memory now, man. Like, not having a bad memory. I'm forgetful now.
Yeah.
So I used to know people's names and all this. So what's funny is when I was looking for a job back in the days, Tony Tasonis got me a job at. See, I can't remember the club, man. It was just off Mavis near in Mississauga. But I only did 2 nights. I was a bus boy, and I was like, this is too hard, man. I can't do this, man.
You're running around, man.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. Okay. Now, how does law enforcement come in your life?
So I think it was kind of simultaneously when I go to political science, I'm kind of thinking, yeah, I'm going to become a cop. Firemen didn't interest me. Policing always interested me.
Hmm.
I don't know why. I can't say it's TV shows or I had some friend that was a cop or anything. There was always that very real security in the employment
Hmm.
as being a police officer, having watched both of my parents be factory workers, laid off, us having to sell houses and move here and do that. I knew I
Yeah.
didn't want that. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? I knew I needed something stable.
Right.
And the trade-off for the stability is the danger, but you get the paycheck never stops, right?
Right.
So there you go. So that was kind of it. So I knew by the time I was done university, my goals were 100%. I was going to be a cop.
Okay.
And I knew it back then. And it was like, it really was all I was focused on. Yeah, I had, other jobs at gyms and worked, the nightclubs by then I was working at nightclubs, MFN and Barracuda and stuff.
Were you bouncing? You were bouncing?
Yeah, I was working bouncing back then at nights on the weekends, and then
Yeah.
during the day I actually worked at a gym called The Workout. They used
Okay.
in Shepherd. I think now it's an LA Fitness or something, but it used to be called the Workout. So,
Hmm.
between school, that, and then took me about a year to get hired on as a cop.
Hmm.
I just did those things and made money and paid bills, and that's how I got there.
Okay. Wait, before we get into policing, I'm not sure if I knew about the bouncing, man, but tell me a little bit about that experience, man, because when we used to go to the clubs, you're some big guys and you're a big guy too, man. And then
So,
there's
it was a whole circle of guys that used to play football.
okay.
Bill Matulis, Bill Misios, um, Mike Becks, all guys from Northern,
Hmm.
and like a bunch of guys that I was friends with through football.
Okay.
All had grabbed these jobs that we were making like good money, and they were like, "Hey, if you work the door, you can also get the bribes to get in."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
come on, we'll get you in. We'll get you in. And that was it. It was like not even a full year of working them. And it was the same owner owned both bars. So
Hmm.
it was like when one bar closed down, you just went to the other one and done.
Okay.
So it wasn't, there was nothing to it. It was, a bunch of drunk kids,
Oh, so no trouble. You didn't see
nothing crazy. And
nothing
there was
crazy.
also guys like, there was like those lifer security bouncer guys
Yeah.
that knew how to deal with anything really stupid too,
Hmm.
right? You never really had to, because the last thing I was going to do is put myself in a situation that would compromise my goal or my
Yes.
job.
Yeah.
I was never going to do that. I was never going to puff my chest out or peacock or ego or fight anybody. I had people we grew up with who I
Hmm.
don't want to say on this.
Yeah.
That's how much we both know their names. Pick fights with me, both
Wow.
there and after I became a cop.
Wow.
And I'd just be like, yeah, whatever, man. See ya.
Yeah.
Not worth it, man. It's not worth
Hmm.
it.
Okay. So now, what was the training like for policing? Because I don't know if you want to say what force you joined. Um,
Okay, no problem.
yeah. So what was that training like? Because I have family members that are police, I have friends that are police officers, and you're one of them too. But what was that experience? What'd you have to go through? I'm talking about like the psych part of it too, and the
Yeah,
physical. The
so
physical
it
must
is
have
a
been.
rigorous. I've heard. So my wife is also a police officer, and she worked in human resources,
Hmm.
hiring officers as well. So I've heard that there's been focus changes, and there's also been because of this arguments of discrimination.
Hmm.
Some things have been removed, like some physical requirements,
Okay, yeah, I heard about that.
things like that. When I got in, the biggest struggle was getting in, number one, because we were on the heels of the Bob Ray days where everything was frozen. I
Yeah.
was actually in like the first batch of people to get hired as a police officer after the lid came off and the government could start hiring people again.
Hmm.
So I remember calling them, putting in my resume. And back then, I don't know if it exists still, you had to go to like it's called prep, but it's basically this
Okay.
ATS testing service.
Okay.
All your testing, they send you for psychological. They make you write an essay. They did math and all kinds of
Oh,
shit.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
whatever, man. Like
yeah, yeah,
it's not calculus.
yeah,
It's math, though, right?
yeah, yeah.
So once you get your certificate, it's
Mm,
good. The academic side of the certificate is good for 2 or 3 years. The
mm,
physical side you have to renew every 6 months. So if it takes you 5 years to get hired, you're spending money every 6 months on this physical side and every couple of years on this academic side to keep
mm.
you eligible.
Wow. Okay.
So like at the end of the day, it's all money, right? We know it's all money.
Yeah.
So I was on the phone. Are you hiring? Are you hiring? Like, did you get my resume? Like to the point, I'm sure I annoyed everybody, right?
Yeah.
And I said to myself, whoever hires me first is where I'm going to go.
Hmm.
Um, because I was pretty close in the process. I had known I'd gone through. So your psychological testing and all that stuff, it's after they actually, it's part of the hiring process. It's not to get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
So, your foot in the doors, you have to have your ATS. You better have done some volunteer work.
Oh,
Pretty
wow.
good if you've got an education.
Hmm.
Pretty good if you can speak another language. Pretty good if you've done some military time. Like you got to remember, man, back then it wasn't. When I started, it was 26,000 a year. But right now, you're looking at 100,000 a year.
Wow.
And it's
Yeah.
100,000 a year. That for 30 years, you
Hmm.
know, it becomes very, very competitive, right?
Yeah.
You better check those boxes,
Wow.
to get on. So I finally got the call, and I remember it was Durham that hired me first, and I called my dad.
Hmm.
My dad's my everything, right? He's my dad, right? So, and I'll never forget. I don't know if you've ever been up to Oshawa, but Oshawa's a funny, unique place, right? They call it
Yeah.
the British Wa, right? So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I go, I sign my papers. I'm ecstatic, like I'm on cloud nine.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. What year is this? What year?
That would have been 98, the end of 98.
Okay. Hmm.
My dad's, so I'm sorry, I jumped a little bit ahead, and I know you had asked me about the psychological.
Hmm.
By this point, I had done all that stuff. I'd gotten to that point where they sent officers to my house, Greek house. My mom's trying to feed them. The house
Yeah.
is spotless. She's trying to feed them. Um, they got the two background officers. Um, they're talking to my mom. They asked me a couple questions. They asked my girlfriend at the time, who ended up being my first wife, some questions.
Hmm.
Um, they went and interviewed all my employers. They went and interviewed people I worked with. They did their background checks, right? They speak to everybody.
Right.
For criminal records, for tickets, for all that kind of stuff too, obviously. And I could tell I had a good vibe from them. That
Okay.
going well. Then they give me the call. You got to go see our psychiatrist, Dr. Brown, I believe his name was.
Wow. You remember that?
Yeah. Well, you remember things that are odd to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, they make you fill out like a 500 question thing. Do you love your mom? 2 pages later, are you in love with your mom? 6 pages
Wow.
later, is your mom loving?
Yeah.
Based on just the little nuances, I guess they can determine stuff. Whatever, right? The
Right.
doctor reads it, says whether you're good or not, and then asks you some physical questions about yourself.
Hmm.
You feel head pressure, like stuff that would, I guess, be indicative of mental health issues. And
Hmm.
then they give you the stamp and you're good. So I remember getting that call. Me and my dad get in the car. We go up to Oshawa. Back then, it was old headquarters was right down in Simcoe Street.
Hmm.
I sign, come back. I'm like, like busting, right? Exploding. Like that's it. This is what I've worked for. I got it.
Yeah.
As we're driving down Simcoe, we stop at a red light. My dad looks to the right, and there's got to be about 3 generations of Oshawites on the front porch. Like 10 in the morning, eh? Drinking beer.
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to work here? I'm like, it'll be fine, Dad. Don't worry. Let's go. I'll never forget that day, because I was just like looking, and I think we were drinking like 50, like the Labatt 50 or whatever it was called, like the green box.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh man, Oshawa. Oh,
Yeah,
wait. So,
funny place, man.
so
Funny
wait.
place.
Durham covers Pickering, Ajax, Oshawa,
Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa,
Whitby.
Bowmanville,
Yeah.
Newcastle, and then up north, Uxbridge, Scugog, Port Perry.
Hmm.
Crap, it goes all the way up to Lake Simcoe. Like it's the biggest region,
Okay.
like
Wow.
wise.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, first day on the job.
Well, then there's 3 months of police college.
Oh,
right? So you go off to London for 3 months.
rewind. Yes. Yes. How was that police college experience?
Police college is a funny place, man,
Hmm.
because you go in, there's 300-400 of you.
Wow.
Each service has an allotted amount of people that they're allowed.
Mhm.
They swap seats. Let's say if Toronto has 180 beds there, but they can only hire 160,
Hmm.
they'll swap out 20 to different services and get those repaid in another class.
Okay.
Like get those seats back later, right?
Hmm.
Back when I went, you didn't have to pay for police college. Now you have to pay.
Wow.
So you get
Okay.
there and it's basically barracks,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
13 and a half weeks. Um, it's a pretty good, like it's rigorous. Every day you got your academics, you need your 75 to pass, you do your physical stuff, but you get in with a good group of guys,
Yeah.
you're partying at night, like you're having a good time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. As
Yeah.
long as you can make sure you better be there in the morning for March. You
Hmm.
better be in the morning for your run. You better not miss a class. But it's a pretty good time. Like my wife, I would come home every weekend. I didn't mind the drive to London and back.
Hmm.
I would come home, get my clothes clean. I lived with my parents, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to eat real food, and then I'll go back there, back to ribicutes that they're giving us there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my wife, who was homeless,
Hmm.
who you know had nowhere to stay, she never came down a weekend, and she loved it. She's like, it's the best time of my life. I never had to cook for anybody. So
Wow.
cooking for
Yeah.
me was awesome. So I mean, it's a good experience. Everybody needs to do it. Getting pepper sprayed sucks.
Yo, I was gonna ask about that though. Wait, rewind for a minute. What weight did you go in at when you started police college?
So I was probably about 215, 220 then.
And to get it into perspective, what are you now?
250.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I'm 250 on my weight. So I just had a baby.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have it. My wife had a baby.
Hmm.
I also quit. I've quit smoking this year.
Yeah.
My whole life, right?
Hmm.
Quit smoking. I probably put on 25, 30 pounds with the baby
Yeah.
and all the junk food in this house and
Yeah.
what's being gone and that. So I had actually got up to about 260, 265.
Okay.
Now I'm bringing it back
Bring
down.
down. Yeah.
I gotta make it so I can take my shirt off again.
Yeah. Okay, Jimmy, I was gonna ask about the pepper spray because I heard about it from other people, and I want to know your experience because that's a must, right? You have to get sprayed, right?
So it's one of those, it's not a must, but if you don't do it,
Yeah.
you're going to be in shit for a long time and treated pretty bad.
Okay. Hmm.
It is what it is. You know what, man? You're not going to die. It sucks. And if you're going to do it to somebody,
Hmm.
you better know what it feels like before
Okay.
you make that decision to do
Okay.
it. You're using it. There's certain criteria that you would use pepper spray, right? Someone's being assaultive, there's no weapon, but there's physical force. There's certain criteria. We're taught the criteria. There's the use of force wheel. You know when you're allowed to use pepper spray.
Okay.
Said that. You pepper spray somebody, and a lot of times it doesn't work on people.
Wow. Is that when they're on something though? Mostly,
Yeah, or mental health issues.
or mental? Okay.
Yeah. When they're on something or mental health issues is typically when it doesn't work, but I'm not a doctor to be able to say
Yeah.
that for sure, but in my experience, yeah.
Mhm.
But you're going to do it to somebody, you better know what it feels like because you're making a decision to really screw with somebody's brain. And it really does have a mental effect. It will make you go crazy.
Gee.
Better understand what it's doing. It is instantly taking away all of your senses.
Yeah.
And your fight or flight goes right into effect.
Hmm.
Most people can't control that, whatever's going to happen to them. And they start to hyperventilate. So your breathing is immediately taken from you.
Jeez,
So
man.
you're going to do it to somebody, you better know.
Hmm.
Yeah, my experience with it, it sucked. Then they line you up on a wall, they make you go out like Jesus, they spray you in the eyes, and then you have to do a bunch of push-ups, hit a bag,
What?
and then affect an arrest like with your firearm.
Hmm.
We're using dummy guns,
Yeah.
obviously. But within like 10 seconds, dude, you're like this, just holding your eyes open because you can't, your eyes just automatically slam shut.
Yeah.
So like you're like this, sitting there trying to catch
So,
the guy.
so I guess besides knowing what it feels like because you're gonna do it to someone, and you have to know like the response and all that stuff, you also might be put in a situation where you still have to arrest somebody or be attentive and all that, right? So you can't be like squirming around like my eyes, right? So you have to be still capable.
You might also catch cross blast, right? Like your partner. So there are like terminology that's used
Okay.
province wide where I'm not going to expose it. I don't even know what the regulations are about saying it out loud, but
Yeah, yeah.
there is terminology where when you hear it as a cop,
Hmm.
you know that either a taser is coming out. Well, there's one set for a taser,
Yeah,
there's one set for a pepper spray.
yeah,
Set of words, right? It's like just to use Seinfeld. These pretzels are making me thirsty.
yeah,
You hear
yeah,
that? You better know someone's pepper spraying, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, and there's a lot of people that suck using it,
yeah.
officers that suck using it, and there's a lot of times it doesn't go where you think or a wind takes it, and
Hmm.
you may be in a situation where you are grappling with somebody to effect an arrest. An
Hmm.
officer sprays for some stupid reason, I don't know why, and
Hmm.
now you're wearing it.
Wow.
And now you got to know how you're going to react to that too, right?
Right.
So that's part of it too.
So
Right?
you can get tagged with it, and it wasn't even meant for you and all that. But one thing I want to know, because you see it on TV shows too and all the stuff. When you do get sprayed, and forget about the things that you have to do. If you just got sprayed, you're not supposed to touch your eyes, they say. But can you use water? Is there some solution to make
Water,
to ease
water,
it? Water, right?
cold water.
Okay.
You see people putting milk in stuff. That's all nonsense.
Mhm.
Water, cold water. When they decontaminate, like even when they decontaminate you at OPC, you are literally, first of all, the snot's just flying out of you. You've lost all control of everything up here, right?
Yeah.
You're literally with a garden hose.
Oh wow.
And they're just pouring garden hose water, and you're in the garden hose, and like it's like when you're bathing your baby and they're trying to catch their breath.
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing, man.
That's what it is.
You're trying to catch your breath, and you're getting killed with the hose.
Yeah.
That's the only way to get it out.
And then there's no permanent damage to your eyes with pepper spray.
No, the only thing that can happen, and it's not permanent, it's just if you. When I had hair at police college,
Yeah.
they tell you when you're going to shampoo that night,
Yeah.
don't shampoo forward, shampoo everything back. Because if
Backward.
there's some left in your head, you're going to push it right back down in your eyes and you're going to go through the whole thing again.
Okay.
I've
Wow.
never heard of anybody sustaining any kind of permanent eye damage or anything.
Mhm. Yo, thanks for that insight,
There
man.
you go.
Yo, but okay, what about the taser now? Do you have to get tased to understand?
So I can't speak for other services. I know in Durham, if you've got the use of a taser, you've been tased.
Okay, wow.
In
Mhm.
Durham, that's kind of the instructors. Again, you don't have to, but it becomes very uncomfortable for you
Yeah,
if you're going to be carrying a taser and not been tased. There's
yeah.
a so I can be very objective when it comes to policing.
Mhm.
I've seen the good and the bad, and I've lived through the good and the bad of it. There is an obligation of every officer that starts this job on the right mindset.
Mhm.
Because, yep, there are ones that slip through the cracks that don't start the job. And there's ones that over time, I
Mhm.
would throw myself in this,
Mhm.
in this pool, over time lose not the desire or the passion for what they did,
Mhm.
lose respect for the job itself and
Okay.
want to be part of it. It doesn't mean that they will neglect their responsibilities or anything like that.
Mhm.
But it's just like that part. It's a done relationship. You broke up. You're done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of people still have to work 15 years with that mindset, which sucks, right? They got to work in that same service with that mindset, or
Yeah.
they quit or whatever, but they never do. But I really believe there's an obligation on anybody who does this job.
Mhm.
I'm not saying go shoot because that's what everyone's saying. Oh, so what? I got to shoot myself in the leg to know how it feels? No.
Yeah.
But within reason, yeah, you should do whatever you're going to do to somebody. I'm not saying take a baton off, like things that are going to damage you,
Yeah.
but the things that we know aren't going to,
Mhm.
there's an obligation. You're an officer. You have the ability to do this to somebody. You should know what it's about.
Right.
I really, I feel that way, and I've always felt that way about it. Like it's not going to kill you. It sucks, but it ain't going to kill you.
I respect that, man. And with the taser, I forgot who I heard it from, man, but I think there was an incident at the airport. I don't know if it was the Toronto airport. I don't know if the gentleman was high on something, whatever, but
Yeah.
the taser didn't work. So just like you were saying with pepper spray, sometimes when you tase people, it doesn't take too, right?
So the one I remember was, I believe it was the RCMPs out in BC.
Hmm.
There might have been something already wrong with the man, and the taser actually killed him. It's
Oh,
called
wow.
kind of electromagnetic thing in him and stopped his heart or did something. But
Hmm.
I really think, like, statistically, that's like 1 in 100 million or 200. And I'm not saying it's good that it even happens once. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is statistically, it's not the the other option is a gun.
Yeah.
So that option is you have zero chance. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Because
Yeah.
cops are not trained to, and despite what everybody thinks, you're not trained to shoot somebody in the hand. You
Yeah.
can't. Your adrenaline is flying. Your hand is doing this, and
Hmm.
that's the reality of it, right? You're in the middle of a fight. You don't know what's going on. If you are at the point where you are pulling out your gun and you've got it, you feel imminent death. You
Hmm.
feel just talking to you about it. You can probably see my goosebumps.
Yeah.
Now be in the situation and think
Mhm.
that you can shoot a knife out of somebody's hand. You can't. You can't.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you train center mass, 2 shots center mass.
Hmm.
The first one usually stops, but the second one always does.
Wow.
For the
Hmm.
most part, right? So you train double tap, center mass.
Hmm.
Take the taser away now. Make it unavailable. That's your only option. 2 shots, center mass.
Yeah.
So the 1 in 1 million or 1 in 10 million or 1 in 100 million, I think it's a necessary risk.
Hmm.
Oh my. I don't know. It's just my opinion on that.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Um, and now you touched on firearms. So how was the firearms training for you? I don't know if you could talk about it. Always let me know if you could talk about it, but how was that?
Because I worked in gangs,
Hmm.
I was fortunate enough in that we had monthly training with the TAC team, tactical
Tactical.
enforcement unit.
Hmm.
So the proficiency I have with a handgun, with my handgun, not a handgun, because I'm not even a gun guy. I don't own guns. I've
Hmm.
never been a hunter. I don't like guns.
Hmm.
I just want to know that when I'm handling my pistol, I don't even like the shotgun that they used to give us or the rifles they give us. I never use them.
Yeah.
Glock is my Glock. I know how to use it. I can take that thing apart blindfolded.
Hmm.
Uh, the extra training so first of all, the training you get at OPC with your gun
Hmm.
is amazing. And
Wow.
then the pointing and shooting is never the issue. The issue is the decision making.
Hmm.
That's what OPC does a really good job of, and OPC being Ontario Police College,
Right.
does a really good job at making people understand how the decisions are made
Hmm.
between the use of force wheel, like I was telling you, whether you know pepper spray, baton, physical. Lots of times you can just talk things out. 99% of the time you can talk things out, right? You don't need anything. There's
Yeah.
times you do. Regional police has a phenomenal um, training program when it comes to firearms. They take
Hmm.
it really seriously. They are 10 steps ahead of OPC.
Wow.
So when you go your yearly block training there, it's ridiculous. Like they're making you do stuff at a level that you never have to do at a police college. It's way above it. So
Wow.
yeah,
Hmm.
I have nothing. There's nothing bad that can be said about it. It's state of the art. I would put it against any program in North America,
Hmm.
and it would absolutely crush it. Like it really is. It really is a great program there.
So there's one thing when you get good training in whatever field, just to hear how you're talking, I can understand the confidence level that they gave you helped you for the real world situations to that level, right? So that's a good thing. Wow.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good.
Hmm. Okay. Now, police college is done.
Mhm.
Now, first day on the job.
Yep,
Do you remember it?
absolutely,
You do.
absolutely remember it.
Hmm.
Remember my first day on the job. So we work Durham on the road. You work 4 days on, 4 days off, 12-hour shifts.
Okay.
My coach officer is retired. His name was Vince D'Amico. Good guy. Get in the car, and it's basically he was God. He actually left policing to open up his own non-denominational church.
Okay.
So very godly individual.
Hmm.
Get in the car, he tells me, "You shut the fuck up. I don't know anything. Don't talk unless you have ears
Oh my God.
open."
Are you serious?
Absolutely. Training 101. You know less than shit is what every coach tells their fucking trainee.
Mm-hmm.
You know less than shit. Shut the fuck up and watch. So you spend 3 months with a coach officer.
Mm-hmm.
First month, you shut the fuck up and you watch, but you are writing everything. You are
Okay.
writing all your notes and doing every report.
Okay.
If you're lucky, they let you drive.
Wow.
Month 2,
Mm-hmm.
and what their job is to expose you to every kind of call, and then they do an actual, like back when I was a coach officer, we had like this 300-400 page book that we had to fill out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this officer did this call. Here's the incident number. Here's how they did on it, blah, blah, blah. So every time you go to a special call, you find the incident number, you find what it matches up in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're all kind of categorized under certain 10 codes, or we had our own 9 codes back then too.
Yeah.
Second month, I'm gonna just bring back to my first block, because on the night after you get that speech, right?
Yeah.
This fucking guy. I'm sorry I'm using so much profanity, but it is what it is. It's how I talk, right?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go on.
He fucking takes me. And I find out after the fact that, like, and I don't want to blow the story, so I'll tell you that after.
Okay.
He takes me, we're driving around, it's all night, like like you're brand new, you're trying to encompass all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So like you get home from your day shifts, you finish day shift at 7 p.m. By 8 o'clock, your head's on the pillow. You're out, man. You're out, and you're getting up again at 6 in the morning. Like it's just so much information to take in, right?
Right. Right.
So by night shift, even though you're excited, you're physically, like, it's almost like you've been on adrenaline for 3-4 days, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's got me driving around. He's driving me around. We park at this place called Sandy Beach, facing the water, and he's just got the music going. And he's just sitting there staring at the water coming in from Lake Ontario.
Okay.
So fucking 15, 20 minutes pass. We're still sitting there. He's not really saying much. So I put my head on the window and pass out, right? Like I end up crashing,
Okay.
falling asleep. He fucking gets this close to my ear, screams that I'm never to fall asleep on the job. This is bullshit, disrespectful, loses his marbles on me.
Yeah.
I'm scared shitless now, right? Like my coach officer's freaked on me twice in this first week. Right? Then as time goes on, and what ends up happening is the roles start switching, right? You're always doing, as the trainee, you're always doing all the paperwork.
Okay.
You have to do the paperwork, and there's tons of it, so you're always doing it. He goes to take a shit, you're writing it.
Right.
That's paperwork,
Wow.
But the second month you start driving. The third month, he's not even talking anymore. You're doing all the talking at calls. He's just watching you. You know what I mean? So it goes totally like this, right?
Shadowing now, right?
Yeah, exactly. But what I find out in month 2, where the friendship starts building and we're starting to like each other, and I've met his family, and he's met my mom and dad. This fucking asshole sleeps every night. All the time. He drove me around that night to lull me, just so he could scream at me.
Oh my God.
He's a notorious sleeper. Everybody knows him. I found out later he used to bring a pillow to work with him. Notorious sleeper.
Oh my God. Wait, and you say you know him to this day, right? You know him still? Yeah.
When we had the restaurant, he used to come into the restaurant and eat there, and we're still good. Like but he's notorious sleeper. Like, but those are the things. It was a different time, right? Way of doing things. I have no idea how it's done now.
Yeah.
My wife tells me I wouldn't last a day anymore. So there you go, right? So
Jimmy, so your title, you were just a frontline officer. Like, what was your title?
So I worked 3 years on the front line in Pickering and Ajax. 4 years, sorry. Then I got into gangs. So I became a detective constable, working in gangs.
Okay.
I worked in gangs till 2000, from 2004 till 2009.
Okay.
Left under some pretty bad circumstances in 2009. Then 2011, I got into, I think it was 2011 or 2012. Luckily, I have this, I don't want to sound like friggin', what's that movie, Taken, but I do have a skill set that is,
Don't.
I'm a really good,
Okay.
I don't want to say undercover because it's not undercover. It's I'm a really good plainclothes officer, and I can write warrants very well and very quick.
Okay.
I've been in judges' houses in the middle of the night, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Because of that and my ability to lead surveillance teams and all that stuff, I've been picked out many times to go work long-term projects. So after about 2011, I was always assigned to criminal investigations as a detective constable and just worked different wiretaps and surveillance projects and undercover projects.
Mhm.
Till 2016, I believe it was, when I stopped policing.
Okay. Yeah, I want to get into that too after, but with policing, there's a few things I want to ask you, but if you can't talk about it, let me know. And I'm sure you can talk about things that were in the paper and things like that too. That's fine. But when we talk about the wiretapping and listening to surveillance, that could be tedious, right? Because you're listening. I don't even know what it is. I don't want to speak on something I don't know, but you're trying to find out information, listening for keywords, listening for location, listening for names. Can you even touch on that a little bit?
So luckily, I've worked inside wire rooms.
Hmm.
But luckily, that's not what I had to do. Because
Okay.
typically you have a bunch of monitors working inside the wire room who are actively typing out everything they're hearing.
Hmm.
They are all really good at picking up buzzwords and code words. There's also officers in there, usually part of the investigative team, like the leads. When they hear something that they're like, this might be something, they notify them.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, those guys are all listening too. They've got their own computers, their own headsets. They're listening. They're going into different calls. Blah blah blah. I was always one of the guys on the team for the
Hmm.
most part, running a surveillance team
Hmm.
or doing takedowns or whatever. So any information that would need to be acted on, I'd get the phone call.
Oh, okay.
Where are you guys now? We're here doing this. We're on this guy. We're watching this. Whatever. So that's kind of how that part would play out.
Hmm. And I know there must have been a lot of cases you were involved with that I read about or were on the news, but is there anything that shocked you or um, something you weren't prepared for? I know you had the training for it, but can you get into any stories like that that were like, damn?
So not prepared for. I would say no. In terms of that body of work, the intelligence branch or the criminal investigations area, um, there was nothing that shocked me per se.
Hmm.
Um, I was involved. I was the warrant writer for what was at the time the biggest um, drug seizure, importing cocaine from the Dominican Republic into Canada.
Hmm.
So I know the ins and like regardless, I knew the ins and out and how far sweeping it was and hearing the calls and all that, I guess, but it's not like it wasn't overwhelming or I wasn't unprepared for it. I was just like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like this is how big this thing has gotten.
Yeah.
In terms of in terms of not prepared, no. There's
Hmm.
nothing that I wasn't prepared to hear or see or anything like that. I have been in situations where um I didn't think it would go that bad. Like,
Okay.
but in terms of that scope, like that side of work, no. Like there was just a lot of it was a lot of work. I mean, I worked two of the biggest investigations I ever worked on. One was a giant firearms break and enter, 40 handguns stolen from a guy's house. And you can imagine within hours, they're all over the city.
Hmm.
And, the work that went into that, I remember not being home. My daughter was 2.5, 3 years old at the time. We were split. I had my daughter on my days, and she was with me. It was Thursday. And I remember like bringing my daughter into the courthouse to go sit with the justice of the peace to
Hmm.
get them to sign my warrant. So like I remember being, 4 days, no sleep, going to see Curious George,
Yeah.
falling asleep in the theater, like because that Jack Johnson sings those lullaby songs, which, and my 3-year-old, 4-year-old, whatever she was, waking
Yeah.
me and being like, wow, this is mess, man. Like that part of it shocks me, but
Yeah.
not the actual work. Not
Okay.
the actual work.
So now with how was it balancing the family and work life though too, man? 4 days on, 4 days off. Things must change when you're on these assignments. But how was that part of it? Because your daughter was young too.
Yeah. So I don't. My first failed marriage had. I don't have multiple failed marriages. Just the one. Just to clarify that.
Yeah.
I was too young. I'm too stupid. I don't give it any nothing to the job. We weren't meant to be together. We still don't like each other. It's this and no more than that. I don't give anything to the job.
Hmm.
Working straight afternoons in gangs because that's all I worked straight afternoons. It left me um, really open. It wasn't tough on my family life because it was just me and my daughter.
Okay.
What it did on my days with her, but
Hmm.
what it did is it removed my ability um, to be as involved as I would have liked,
Yeah.
and it also removed and I don't know if you've been split or anybody that's watching has been split. There's always that tug of war, right?
Hmm.
And it removed my ability to. I had no bargaining power because I
Hmm.
was left like I worked for the last 4 days. If she decided, the schedule we always had was that I would get my daughter 3 days. She would have my daughter 4 days, so that I would always have to pay child support. That's the game, right?
Yeah.
So when your 4 days turns into 6 days or 7 days or 9 days or 15 days, yeah,
Hmm.
now you're kind of at her mercy, right? Because you're picking between your job and your kid, and it's not like there's a choice, but it's your job, man. You got to go to work.
Yeah.
You have to go to work. So on that side, I would say I failed. I just gone back to uniform, said screw this. Had my daughter 4 days, my 3 days, my 4 days off.
Hmm.
Just lived life. At that time, I had chosen to work.
Yeah. Wow.
I was young, right? I don't know. Like
Hmm.
the right choice, I don't know. Me and my daughter have a great relationship. So did it
Yeah.
affect her? I don't
Yeah. I see the pictures, man. Happy
know.
pictures, man.
Yeah, my daughter's she's my angel. Like there's it's funny. I was trying to I figured at some point we'd talk about kids, right?
Yeah.
And I know you got a daughter, and I
Hmm.
say like there's a difference, right? So the daughter is the one that will open your heart to love.
Yeah.
Your son will open your heart to dreams. All the dreams
Wow.
that I have are for him. I didn't have dreams for my daughter because I couldn't relate. I wanted her to do well in life, and I just wanted to love her and be safe.
Hmm.
I don't have dreams for her. For him though, in my mind, I've already got him, over here. He's already up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not being sexist. I don't know if it's right or wrong,
Hmm.
but my daughter is my daughter, man. She's my soft spot. And even if we get mad at each other, like, she's always daddy's girl.
Yeah.
But him, he's the champ. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
man. Look,
So yeah, I got one more question about law enforcement too, but let's just touch on that. So when we were planning to do the interview, you said, we're gonna do it after the birth of my child, right? So that happened. How was that experience, man? Because there's a gap between your daughter and your son, and how are things now?
so, you know what? It was a long 3 days in the hospital. Luckily, we were at Sunnybrook. Everything went well.
Mhm.
Um, Natural childbirth. The kid's a monster, so it took a long time to get him out.
Yeah.
They had to use the forceps,
Okay.
which we were scared of, but everything's okay. Like he's a good, healthy boy. Everything worked out. My wife's healthy. She's back to working out and trying to lose the mommy weight, and Everybody's good, man. It's wild, right? Because 48 years old this year,
Yeah.
and the vibe is totally different. You know, when they're little, when you first go around, right?
Hmm.
You're worried about, are they pooing? Are they peeing? Are they this? Are they that? Now you're just like, whatever, man. You know, you're not worried about it. You're not worried about the same things at all. My wife
Yeah.
worries about those things. My
Hmm.
wife's sitting there with the mirror, seeing if he's breathing. I'm like,
Yeah.
you just heard him take a crap. He's fine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Nice, man.
It's all good.
What's his name? What's his name?
Nicholas, after my dad, Nicholas.
Yes. Oh, amazing. Okay. I'm glad you touched on that family life. There's one thing I want to say. I want to know if it's true, man,
Yep.
because I've heard it from many different police officers. I've heard them say, like, if we knew what I'm just gonna say Toronto, this is where I'm from,
Yeah.
man. If I knew what Toronto was really like, or people knew the average person, they would be scared to go out their house. So I don't know how true that is because I go out every day. I'm not worried, but I know there's an element of society that you don't want to be a part of, man, because there's a dangerous element out there. But there's a lot of things that go on that we don't know.
Absolutely. And it's probably for the best, to be honest.
Hmm.
Um, not that I want to get into government preaching and stuff, but here's my 2 seconds on the government. The government always looks to what's easy, the big target.
Hmm.
It's easy to blame this. It's easy to do this, and it makes it look because I'm going to be honest. I feel that COVID. I never had that much. I felt there's a lot of good people in the world, but I don't know about a lot of bright people,
Hmm.
just in general.
Hmm.
I feel like COVID made everybody dumb.
Hmm.
I see it when I go to the market. I see it in life. People have lost their just the general etiquette of life anymore.
Right.
So now, you know, you take people and you bombard them with tons of shootings that happened this weekend, and they think Toronto's burning down, right? Like, yeah, there's always been shit. There's just more media, more coverage, and
Yeah.
they love finding that negative stuff. I didn't see them talking about fundraisers. I
Hmm.
didn't see them talking about, they spent 3 days on the kid, and good for them. They spent 3 days on the kid. CB24 did. The kid that got his friggin' stand stolen. You see that a couple of weeks ago? He's selling baked goods, and some jackass comes up and steals his stand and his baked goods, right? That he was selling.
Wait, where did this happen?
Toronto. In
Wow,
Toronto.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. So, they
Hmm.
spent the next 3 days talking about the Good Samaritans that came by and did this and did that, and that's great.
Hmm.
It happens like once in a while, man. All the good things that go on, nobody brings them up.
Yeah.
Is Toronto dangerous? Sure.
Hmm.
It was dangerous, man. If you're not out buying Coke at 2 in the morning, don't worry so much. You'll be fine. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We lose, and that's what I mean. Like, people have lost common sense.
Yeah.
Very minimal to begin with. COVID put a bunch of people in their houses for 2 years, feeding them sugar and crap. No
Mm.
exercise, no oxygen, no nothing. And whatever your stance is on vaccines or whatever, the basic fundamentals are we were stuck in our houses for 2 years and got dumber.
Hmm.
Got dumber because we could only talk to the person beside us and watch that fucking TV.
Yeah.
We all got dumber. And now you inundate them with information and it becomes way more blown up than it needs to because their minds can't grasp it. We can't put it in perspective anymore.
Yeah.
Is it worse than it was when we were growing up? I don't know, man. Maybe it's more violent because there's better weapons, or because more people are poor. I don't know. But I think a big part of it is the media.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely agree. And I believe these things went on too when we were younger a lot. But we didn't hear about it because, we only had the Toronto Sun, Toronto Star, your CTV news. But get on that point though, what I think is getting worse, but I'm sure it was still there, the mental health. Because in my job, I work with police as well, right? And it's not only in policing, which I want to get into the mental health that police are experiencing, but the average person now, you hear they have some kind of anxiety, depression, mental health, schizophrenia. There's a list of things, bipolar. But how was that in policing now? Did you see it a lot? or?
Yeah, yeah. You know
Hmm.
what? You did see it a lot. The system is broken, right? We know this. So police have the ability, if you're going to hurt yourself or someone else, to apprehend you under the Mental Health Act,
Hmm.
you to the hospital. They have to babysit you till you're admitted. Once you're admitted, you're there for 72 hours. In the 72 hours, they give you your drugs. You start to feel better. By the 72nd hour, you're saying all the right things. So they let you out the door.
Hmm.
Then what happens once you get out the door? You stop taking your meds. And the cycle
The
continues.
cycle. It's a cycle.
And it's a vicious cycle. I don't know how to fix it. There's bigger brains that have known about it than me for a long, long time. And it's just the system, and it's unfortunate. And it's gotten to a point where if you don't take responsibility for your own health,
Hmm.
physical, mental, or otherwise, nobody's going to take care of you. Like my wife during the pregnancy, we went to the hospital. She had abdominal pains. We went to Sunnybrook, man.
Hmm.
Like Sunnybrook, you know what I mean? If I'm shot, you take me to Sunnybrook.
Best
Like
hospital, boy.
that's the best
Yeah.
hospital, man.
Hmm.
Um, she had abdominal pains. They made her sit there for 10 hours before they took a test. And they could have been a piss test, a blood test. Pregnant woman with abdominal pains, man. 10 hours before we started losing our shit. And
Hmm.
then finally, someone with half a brain was like, yeah, why haven't we done these tests?
Hmm.
Like blood testing, a urine test, stuff that could have been done easy, they didn't do, right? If you don't take your health seriously and be the biggest advocate for your mental health and your physical health, no one else will. They'll leave you in that hospital for 10 hours pregnant or not. They don't care, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not barking at nurses or doctors or anything. It's a system. It's a
It's a system. Yeah.
systemic problem. And you got nurses that are worked to the bone, doctors that have, they are heavily worked, but they also have, I'll be quite honest, I'm not a huge fan of doctors,
Hmm.
but um, there's nothing holding them accountable
Hmm.
at all. Like you got Buddy there getting up on CP24 saying whatever, and then a week later saying something different. Who holds anybody accountable to the doctors? It's like a judge, right? They've got the magic certificate, and nobody ever says anything bad. The
Hmm.
nurses get held out to dry. Paramedics get held out to dry. Cops get held out to dry. Firemen not so much,
Hmm.
but everybody else does. Doctors don't. They can do whatever, man, and
Hmm.
they know how to cover their trail, and that's it, right? So I'm a really big advocate of, you know what, you got to be healthy, you got to take care of yourself. Yeah, I smoked my whole life, I've drank my whole life, I've done all these bad things.
Hmm.
As you get older, you got to start knowing which ones to start peeling back and getting back under control, right? So
Right. Right.
that's it. Right?
Okay. And now, since we're talking about mental health, um, what happened to you in policing now? So we're talking 2022, and I swear I seen a post of you having surgery. It was back surgery or
Yeah,
something, right?
that was totally unrelated to policing.
Unrelated.
That was
But I need you to
totally,
talk about both of them because I
yeah.
seen a post. I was so proud, man. I was like, wow,
Oh,
Jimmy, you went through this and now you're walking. Like, just
yeah.
touch on both for me, where you are, what stage in police, your career, and then also the surgery you went through.
So I suffer from PTSD. So effectively, my policing career is over. It's been over since 2016.
Okay.
I will touch on the one kind of there's a ton of reasons. Um, sorry, a ton of factors. But there is one particular thing that's, affects me, and I deal with it, and it comes and goes, and there's not any, there's no magic cure. But I don't know if you've paid attention at all to the recent um, case with the guy that killed his girlfriend and her kids in Ajax. He was
Yeah.
recently convicted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So remember that time period I was telling you about in 2011, 2010, 2011, 2012, around there, whatever it was. I went back to uniform before I went to criminal investigations,
Hmm.
working in uniform in Pickering, and I get a call to a bar. And I won't even repeat this guy's name because he's such a piece of shit. He doesn't deserve his name spoken ever.
Okay.
And you can look up who he is once I give you the situation, and you'll know exactly who he is.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
So I get called to a bar fight, whatever, right? Like it's at like I don't know, like the Bear and the Firkin or something. So it's like whatever. A bunch of guys drank too much, whatever. So I
Mhm.
walk up, and the guy that's doing the pushing and shoving, I kind of just grab him, like to pull him away from the trouble, because like just everybody go home kind of thing, right? I'm not looking to arrest nobody. Well, he stands up, and the guy's a giant. He's like 6'6", 300 pounds, solid muscle. And the fight's on right away. He's trying to take the head right off my shoulders. Um, Hit him with my baton. I don't know how many times. Didn't do a thing to him. Couldn't rock him. Couldn't get him off his feet. At one point, you're trained to hit arms and legs, big chunky beef, right? Not hit people in the neck and the head and stuff because it'll knock them out, right?
Mhm.
I was in such fear for my life that I actually swiped right in the head. Just cracked him, two-hand crack him with a baton right across the head. I didn't hit him in the head. I ended up catching him in the neck. Ripped his entire neck. It split open like a bag of chips, just like didn't stop him at all. He was now going like this, trying to grab my baton, coming at me. At that moment, I would have been justified to pull my gun out and end that man's life. And I would have. Except I was so worried about, because I had just gone through some shit in the department a couple years earlier. I was so worried about being judged and scrutinized and the whole gong show that is, that I didn't do it. Just kept fighting and fighting and fighting. Finally, officers showed up. There was enough of them. He got tackled to the ground, handcuffed, tased, you name it, everything. I didn't have a taser that night either. But he did get tased by the sergeant on scene. Anyways, get him back to the cells. He's destroying the cells. He's a monster. Fast forward 5 years, he kills his wife or his girlfriend and her kids. And how this world is so small. My daughter's boyfriend was the backup goalie on his Flyers hockey team. So, like, there's another level of closeness. You know what I mean? So, that to me, the level of guilt that, especially when it comes up, sits with me.
Mm.
It's kind of bullshit, man. That guy, I was afraid of the consequences in the organization, in the system, and didn't do what was right. What I should have done is killed that man. He should have been dead. I would have been fine. I would have been justified. I know it. Yeah, I'd have gone to trial. They would have charged me with murder. I'd have gone to trial. I know. I
Mhm.
didn't want to go through that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, for what? For this guy? Like, just hold on, hold on, hold on. So I'm bargaining with myself. Hold on. Just keep fighting. Just keep fighting. Someone will come and help.
Mhm.
Oh, shit, it happened. But that's where it starts to, being a cop won't play with you, right? Because I'm a 6'1", 250 pounds. Okay, I was 230 then, 235.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are, 5'4", 140 pounds. You know what I mean? Like, they're absolutely justified to shoot that man. They really are.
Mhm.
But they'll have those same worries. And then so they say, yeah, when you become a cop, there is a level of danger, and but it is a hard pill to swallow when you're sitting there going, shit, this guy might kill me. He's trying to, like, I just gave him everything. I'm out of breath singing. And this
Yeah.
guy's trying to get my baton. And it turns out he was all coked up, and he's a giant, he's a
Mhm.
giant on coke. Like, what are you going to do? Right.
Yeah.
But that one doesn't sit well with me. And I don't foresee a day it ever will. I feel, it's a shitty, I don't necessarily blame myself, but I kind of do. And it really is a shitty situation. It's a shitty system. And
Mhm.
it's one more example of a shitty system that we have in Canada that does that to people. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
Jim, thanks for sharing this because I knew there's something you had to get off your chest or even tell me too. Um, I didn't know it was to this level, but thanks for sharing that, man. It
You're
really,
welcome.
really helps to
See, this is what it does. And this is what people don't get. And this is why I'm not ashamed to say it. Because as men, we go through shit too. You put your sunglasses on and pretend it doesn't fucking exist. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now my back.
Yeah.
So, Pete, take your time, man.
These shades have helped me a couple times in a couple interviews,
I was
man.
just thinking, those are nice. I should have brought mine down here in my dungeon and I'm looking. I know, man.
Before before you do get into your
Yeah.
back though, you saw someone, right? Like,
Sorry?
you saw someone like, you know, the professional help. You talked it through, right? You talked it through.
I've been seeing someone for years,
Yeah.
and I don't hide anything. I've been with CAMH. I keep going through the CAMH programs that they have there as well. I have a lot of issues. When we had our restaurant, one of the places we always gave money and did fundraisers for was Wounded Warriors. That's what we were talking about earlier. I said Wounded Warriors because that's where my head went, right?
Okay.
And I don't know if you know Wounded Warriors, but Wounded Warriors is an organization that creates awareness and tries to generate money for programs to help people who suffer from PTSD, military people, ambulance, paramedics, because it's not just cops and it's not just military.
Mhm.
Like, how long can you go see dead bodies over and over and over before it starts affecting you? Paramedics do it all the time. Firemen do it all the time. Dude, people I know have died and I can't go near that coffin to say with proper respect. George Katrubis.
Oh yeah, George.
When George passed away, let's be honest, George was murdered. When George was murdered, I was working in the division. I spoke with the investigators from Peel that were investigating because they knew how close George and I. George and I had gone to Cancun together. We partied together. We were at each other's weddings. I couldn't get within 10 feet of George. It was just like, I've seen enough death in my life, man. I've been to enough calls of dead bodies. I don't need no more. Like, I'm good. There's a cumulative effect, man, that people don't realize. And to this day, I have this unwarranted, stupid fear of death. I'm worried about dying constantly, man. Why? There's no reason for it. It's unnatural. It's unhealthy to ponder it. And I'm not sitting there saying I want to kill myself. I'm sitting there saying I'm worried about dying. Like, shit, I might turn that way and die. Like, no. Like, so for me, the health thing, the grounding myself with weights and taking care of my brain and watching. So it's funny. So someone that's so afraid of dying, I have a baby who, like, the reality of it is I'm not going to make 30. I'm going to be gone before, right? Like, if you look at the stats, hopefully not, but if you look at the stats, but that renewal there, it gives me something else to focus on, something fun, something good. You know what I mean? So I struggle with that all the time too. But these are there's so many. When you're talking PTSD, my situation could be totally different than yours and how it affects you. Dude, there was years that I would go on 2 hours of sleep. Years. We'd go to bed at 11. I was up at 1. I would throw the littlest thing. I would throw a temper tantrum in my backyard, like a grown man throwing temper tantrums, because it's just so much emotion and rage bent up and no outlet. So yeah, I started seeing somebody. I do this, I do that. You have to, because you have to be the biggest advocate for your own health. Nobody else cares. You know what I mean? Like, they don't. You come here alone. You got to enjoy your time here, man. Like, so I take care of my health as best I can. It's a big thing to me. And knock on wood, it's only this year and only in the last couple of weeks that I ever got on any medication, and it's from I have high blood pressure.
Yeah.
So I got to take care of that bad boy too. So
wow. This real talk is real talk, man. This episode, it's enlightening too. Now you're back though, Jim. What happened?
So I don't know per se what sparked it. We had the restaurant, and I was over at the restaurant one day, and I was just like, my back doesn't feel good, right?
Hmm.
So I let it go a couple of days. I'm stretching. I'm going to the chiropractor. I'm going for physio. Nothing's doing it. And then, I mean, this is not, I'm not advocating or saying anything bad for chiropractors. I go to the chiropractor one day, about an hour later, I couldn't move. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So my wife's like, yeah, this is not cool. Let's go to the hospital. So we go to the hospital. Uh, Doctor comes in. Oh, you got sciatica. We'll book you for an MRI. You'll come in for an MRI this week. Give me a bunch of drugs. Send me on my way. It was so bad that, like when I say I couldn't walk, I couldn't walk. I was crawling on the ground. I actually spent 3 months sleeping on a lazy boy because I couldn't sleep anywhere. I couldn't get anywhere else. I had a piss jug beside me, and my wife and my daughter would help me go to the bathroom when I had to go to number two.
Hmm.
No call for an MRI ever.
Wow.
Yeah, just popping pills,
Hmm.
pills, and nothing's getting better. And now, not only is it not getting better, things are going numb. Like my legs,
Extremities and
yeah, I'm starting to lose feeling in my legs. Feet are starting to go purple. It's not good, right?
mhm.
So Father's Day that weekend, my wife's like, "Yeah, you got to go to the hospital." I said,
So
"No."
what year is this now?
This would have been 2020, 20, 2021, no, 2020.
2020.
Father's Day
COVID.
2020.
Okay.
Father's Day 2020.
Okay.
My wife's like, "You got to go to the hospital." I said, "I'm not ruining Father's Day. We're going to Father's Day. I'll go to the hospital tomorrow." All right, tomorrow. I've already lived like this for 3 months. You know what I mean? My daughter's here. Like we're gonna have Father's Day. So we have Father's Day. The next day, she takes me to the hospital. It's so bad that they want to put me in an emergency MRI, but they can't actually get me lying down. I'm like so like I can't lie there for anything.
Yeah.
Drugged me and drugged me and drugged me. They actually drugged me so much to get me sedated for an MRI that they brought in a doctor with a defibrillator.
Jeez.
I had a heart attack during the MRI because there was so much drugs in me.
Hmm.
They pulled me out and right away put me in an ambulance and sent me to Sunnybrook. So you know things can't be good then, right?
Yeah.
COVID's going on. My wife can't come in the hospitals with me, but they are talking with her. She actually got into Oshawa Hospital because she's a cop and they know her there. They let her in with me, but they bent the rules for that one. But
Hmm.
Sunnybrook wasn't letting her in.
Hmm.
2 in the morning, they 2 in the morning, 1 or 2 in the morning, I go in for my surgery. 3 or 4 in the morning, they call her, and the words that they tell her are, "The surgery went fantastic. The nerve damage is so bad we don't know if he's ever going to walk again.
Holy cow.
Chances are this surgery wouldn't have gone well if he wasn't as built as he is, if he wasn't as muscular and as strong as he is. His lower back is very strong, but so what had happened is I had actually my discs had slipped. When they say slipped, everybody has a different kind of understanding of what it is.
Hmm.
Well, a slip, typically when people have a slip disc, it's not a slip disc. It's a little cut on the disc and it flaps. So like if you looked at like a circle, it has a little flap. You know, like when you cut yourself and you can push your skin back down,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
happens to your discs.
Okay.
When it does that, there's a million nerves running through. So the nerves kill, right? But
Yeah.
then it finally heals and goes back, right? Mine actually shot out of my vertebrae. 2 discs actually shot out of my vertebrae. So they had to remove them. They were tangled up in my spinal cord and it had caused all the problems. And from having it for 3 months or 4 months or whatever it was by that point, untreated, they were like, yeah, we don't know. Then in the morning, they called her again. So I was crashed. They called her again and she asked how I am. And they were going to keep me for another day, I think. And they're like, he's already up. He's using the walker and it's not pretty, but he's in the bathroom peeing.
Yeah.
And then I came back and the doctor came to see me and he's like, okay, so what? I said, why am I here now? And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, why am I here? He's like, well, we're going to give you a day to, recuperate from the surgery. It went very well, but this and that. I was like, are you going to teach me anything here that I can't do at home. And they're like, no, you're not even going to go to physio. We're going to make sure you know how to walk on a walker. That's all.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So they showed me how to walk on a walker. That afternoon, my wife came and picked me up. I came home. I sat on that couch with little tennis balls, little soccer balls, trying to get the movement back in my toes, playing with my toes, playing, trying to kick the balls, trying to squeeze the ball. Eventually, it started to work. Eventually, I started to, my toes started to work, and then my feet started to work. Then all of a sudden, I could walk with the walker pretty good. Like, it was ugly, it was awful.
Yeah.
But I was doing it. And then one day, my buddy Paul comes over, and I was still smoking at the time, standing at my back door, and I had the sliding door open. I knew he was coming, and he just walks in my house. I'm like, come out here, see something. And he'd come out, and I had no walker. And I was just standing there on my own. Wow. And he was just like, he was almost in tears. He was like, we were like looking to sell the house, dude.
Yeah.
A house that was a bungalow, put one of those friggin' chair lifts on it. Like, we were looking at every option. We didn't know if it was ever going to come. But then I got back to grinding in the gym and stuff. And I feel like I actually got in the best shape of my life after recovering from that. And it was like, that was the drive. Like, I was not going to, there was no way I was not going to walk again. You know what I mean? And just did it, man. And to this day, I don't have a left calf. Like, my left calf is gone. I don't have a left calf. The muscle disappeared.
Oh, really?
Nerve damage. Yeah. You see my right calf? It's there. My left leg just is a straight line.
Really? Oh,
Whatever,
wow.
Whatever.
That's amazing, though. Yo, you inspired me with that story, man. You did your self-rehabilitation, man. Amazing.
Take care of yourself, man. Take care of yourself.
Yo, this podcast is going down in history, man.
I hope so. I hope so.
This is the one, man. Okay, Jim, this has been amazing. So there's two more things left. We come to the point in the interview now. I got two cards in my hand, and you're gonna ask me to read out the left one or the right one. Let me know which one you want me to read.
You're right.
So we've covered so many things. I don't know if there's going to be something else, but name one challenging thing you had to overcome in life.
Shit, there's still so many more, man. My next challenge is my wife and I are going to embark on a new business. We want to own rental properties throughout the Caribbean, affordable for families. Make it feel like you're in a 5-star hotel, get treated like a 5-star hotel, but understand that, you know what, we all don't have 5-star money. So that's the next challenge. That's the next one we're handling.
Okay. And since you mentioned that, we've talked so much today about policing. I love the stories and challenges you went through. So I want to have your wife on later on because she has her own business too. I don't know if you're part of it too, right?
I help her.
Right side mortgage? Is it right side?
Right now mortgages is hers.
Right now mortgage, yeah.
OG Greek catering is mine.
Yeah.
And so I do catering, she does the mortgages, but we both have the education in mortgages. So if she needs me to help with some paperwork, I'm allowed.
Yeah.
Because FSRA won't even let you push a piece of paper. I'm sure people do it, but they don't let you unless you've got their course. So I've learned how to do mortgages too.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's going to be a whole episode in itself. I love it. A lot to talk about. Okay, perfect. Now, the last thing you have to do. When I first started Real Talk, I had 3 balloons and I had charity of my choosing. But in season 4, my guest is choosing the charity that I'm going to donate to. And I think I know which one it's going to be, but what charity will I be donating to, chosen by you?
Will not be Wounded Warriors. I know that's what you were thinking.
Oh, okay.
And not for any other reason than I'm a big believer that it's time that we start looking at the youth and start helping the younger. And the charity that you're involved with the Warriors, the charity, I don't know the dynamics of it, but if there's any charity that you're part of that you're taking care of kids, give them maybe a little bit of our old school kind of way. You know what I mean? A little bit of logic vibe that way.
Mhm.
I would love to also contribute there. So
Oh
you,
my,
I'm not asking you to jump on anything of mine. I would love
mhm.
to jump on yours.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. All right, Jimmy. So yeah, it's funny when I interviewed Victoria, my first guest and my 40th guest,
I want her to do a
tattoo artist.
tattoo on me, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say to you, we should do a show where she puts a tattoo on me, and we're
let's
talking about it the whole
yo,
time.
let's do it because we're getting our dog that passed away, Ginger, my wife and I. My daughter is supposed to get. I don't know if she's gonna
My
get it.
daughter's got ours too on her.
Yeah. Wow. So we're gonna get Ginger's face tattooed by Victoria, but that's cool. Yo, we'll
Anytime if she wants to do tattoo, I'll come sit. We can do it in your basement. You can tattoo me there, and you can talk to both of us, man.
yo, let's do it
Happy
up.
to do
Yeah.
that.
She's actually gonna come here in December to get it done. It might be a birthday gift for you,
There
Jimmy.
you go. There you go. December 18th.
All right. So what I'm gonna do, so when I had Victoria on, I donated to Claus, Kawartha Lakes Animal Wellness Society,
Okay.
because I had someone on there before, Stacy. But I'm gonna donate to the Fundraiser Warriors again. So that's what Star Scorpio will be donating to.
And you send me their information so I can do the same, please.
Definitely, most definitely.
Thank you.
All right. So now we're wrapping season 4, episode 8 with Real Talk with Star Scorpio with my man Jimmy Z. Thank you, Jimmy. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And we out.